Today, we're going to talk about how to train to run a sub-3 hour marathon. And whether you're training right now or you want to train towards that elusive sub-3 hour barrier, or you just want to improve your marathon time, this video is going to be packed full of tips and key workouts that are going to help you get there. But first of all, we need to think about our starting point. I've talked recently about the equivalent times for 5K, 10K, and half marathon, and they are 18 minutes 20 for 5K, 38 minutes for 10K, and 1 hour 25 to 1 hour 27 for half marathon. Now, it stands to reason that if you can already run that half marathon in 1 hour 25 to 1 hour 27, it's not going to take you very far or very long in order to put the right sessions together on a weekly basis, train specifically over the course of 12, 13 weeks towards running your goal marathon pace and try to get under, execute that 3 hour marathon. If you're at the stage where you can run a 5K or a 10K in 18 minutes or 38 minutes, but you've neglected or you've not tapped into your endurance and stamina on the weekend long run yet, that's an area that needs developing. That's going to take you longer than 3 months in order to tap into that, get the benefits, start to gain the consistency, and move both areas of your game forward. And that leads me nicely on to the next point. I can give you, or you can Google the best sessions on the planet for half marathon, for 5K, for marathon. The key is execution, and it's not just executing one session. It's consistency over the weeks and months and years in order to continue to improve, to continue to move forward towards big goals like a sub-3 hour marathon. Super important. Now, the first point, and it will always be my first point in distance running, is you want to be, despite going for the long distance of 42 kilometers or 26 miles, you want to teach the body to become efficient at moving forward in faster paces. The best way to do that is interval training. You want to teach the body to be efficient at moving over the ground, which means that for a lower heart rate, you can move pretty steady, and therefore the marathon, the long distance, feels for the first half to 25K to 30K like you've got the handbrake on. That's the feeling you should have. And the time we're aiming at per kilometer or per mile is 4:15 per kilometer or 6:50 per mile. Now I'm going to work in kilometers, so 4:15 per kilometer. Remember that time, and that will take us just under 3 hours for the marathon. So when we're thinking about these interval sessions, we want to get the body used to running at marathon pace. And depending on your starting point now, you may want to start at marathon pace, at your current marathon pace, and then work up over the weeks and months to working towards goal marathon pace. That might be the safest route for you. If you're there or thereabouts right now and you feel that you can be aiming for a sub-3 hour marathon, then what I would want to be doing my intervals in, and we'll go through the interval sessions in a second, is 10% quicker. So that takes us to 3:45 per kilometer to 3:50 per kilometer. To be comfortable at running those, whether we're doing shorter intervals or longer intervals, it's incredibly important to get the body used to running faster than what it's actually going to do for 42 kilometers on the day that we run the marathon. Why is it important? We want the body to feel super comfortable for the first half to 30K, ideally even more than that, so that you can really push in the final third, in the final quarter, and get the very most out of your body. We want to be racing the marathon, not just surviving it. It's a completely different strategy to when we started in marathon running. The first session is kilometer repeats. And we want to get to a point where we're doing 12 times a kilometer, so 12 kilometers worth of hard work. The way that my session would look is a really good warm-up, prime my body to get the most out of the interval session, and start with a lower number. And if that is currently 4 times a kilometer for you, or 6 times a kilometer, then so be it. Keep the rest at 60 seconds. So you're standing, maybe you're drinking. If you're using a treadmill, that's very easy. If you've got somebody helping you on a bike or you're doing a loop, drink, get the breathing under control, bring the heart rate down, be in control of each rep so that you can be in control of the entire session. And you want to get that to a point where we can do 12 times a kilometer at marathon pace plus 10%. So 10% faster than marathon pace. So 12 times a kilometer in 3:45 to 3:50 per kilometer. Important, really important. Next key session is mile reps. So 1.6K or 1,600 meters. We're going to keep the rest at 60 seconds. I'll keep saying that. It doesn't matter whether you're doing 1-minute intervals or 10-minute intervals. teach your body, we're trying to go long, so teach your body on the go or in a very short period of time to bring the heart rate down so that the next segment of work, that next rep, is within our capability. Really important. And initially, if you're new to 60 seconds standing rest recoveries, it might seem quite short if you're used to 2 or 3 minutes or a jog recovery or whatever that might be. The reason for the consistent and constant 60 seconds is so that you can monitor that over the weeks, but it's going to teach your heart rate to come down very quickly because it's thinking, I've got another rep to do in a minute, so I've got to bring myself down. I've got to get this under control, this session under control. Mile reps, and we want to build up to running 8 times a mile in marathon pace plus 10%. So for us, the marathon pace is 4:15. We want to be comfortable at doing 8 times a mile at 3:45 to 3:50 per kilometer, with 60 seconds rest in between. And again, really good warm up, prime the body, get it ready to go fast, and a good cool down afterwards where we're bringing the heart rate down and we're reflecting on what we've just done. What did we do right in that session? What did we do wrong? What could we have done better? The next session, and this is another simple, the third one is another simple session. Again, we want to get to a point where we're doing 8 miles of volume. And we're gonna do 2-mile repeats. We're gonna keep the 60 seconds as a recovery, keep that as a constant, but we maybe start with 1 times 2 mile or 2 times 2 mile, and then 3 times 2 mile, and then 4 times 2 mile. Again, 8 miles of work, really, really good amount of work to do, especially if you're training for the marathon. It's going to put you in a good place. If you can do 4 times 2 miles at marathon pace plus 10%, so at 3:45 to 3:50 per kilometer, that's gonna make you, it's going to put you in a good place and make you feel confident that you can box off your marathon so long as you're doing the rest of the work. My final session, the 4th session, is this. And I love to do this because if I do this sort of 4 to 5 weeks out, so my body's still got time to freshen up before the marathon, I know that I'm in a really good place. If you can get to a point where you can do 10 times 5 minutes in marathon pace plus 10%, then you are super confident once you reach marathon day in hitting your sub-3 hour target. So if you can do 5 times 10 minutes in 3:45 to 3:50 per kilometer, you should be really confident. If you've done the rest of the work, the rest of the training, you should be super confident in hitting that pace. And when you set off, it's about being then disciplined to keep it under control, keep the pace within yourself. And then once you get to sort of 25K, 30K, 35K, then you can start to push. But keep the marathon comfortable for as long as you possibly can. Now, it's not just about the interval training. We've also got to build that endurance and stamina. And for me, the best way I like to build that is with the weekend long run. It's on a Sunday, and I put a lot of focus on that because I know if this is a 12 to 13 week training plan, I've got 10, 11 weeks, maybe 12 weeks where I can hit a midweek interval session on a Wednesday and a weekend long run on a Sunday to get super compensation from 2 areas. So times 10 weeks is 20 sessions, times 12 weeks is 24 sessions. From those sessions, as long as I'm doing my recovery runs and easy runs slow enough and gaining that recovery, so enhancing that recovery to go fast again on fast day and long again, but at a specific pace, then I know I'm putting myself in a good place. And the way I like to do those is something like a progressive long run. So a key session for you is a progressive long run. What does that mean? What we're teaching our body to do is to finish fast and finish at the pace that we want to run the marathon in. So what that might look like is 24 kilometers long run. But initially we're going to warm up because we don't want to have any of that work for free. We don't want to get any discount on the session. It's important for us to be ready and warmed up. So I'd like on that day to do the warm up that I'm going to do on the morning of the marathon. Super important. I like to keep it to about 7 minutes, super short, super sharp, because I know that on marathon morning, there might be a possibility that I'm boxed in with a lot of other people and therefore there's not so much you can do. But you want to walk, slow jog, and then get the glutes firing. Super important. Make sure the calves are warmed up, yeah. Make sure the hamstrings are warmed up, but make sure the glutes are firing so that on every step, you've got the big power muscles working for you. And what that progressive long run would look like, 24K, that final 8 kilometers, we want to be at marathon pace. The middle 8 kilometers, we want to be 10% slower. That's going to be at around about 25 seconds, 4:15 plus 25 seconds, so around about 4:40. Should have done the maths before this. And then the first 8 kilometers is going to be 10% slower than that, which looks like about 5:05. So if we do it 8 kilometers at 5:05, 8 kilometers at 4:40, and then the final 8 kilometers at our goal marathon pace, 4:15 per kilometer, that puts us in a great position. We start to get the mentality, the mental resilience that it takes to box off that and to run progressively faster. And it puts us in a really good place to run a negative split. Now, if you run a negative split in a marathon, not only is that the best way to do it and it feels great, but you're also passing a lot of people in the final third, which gives you that extra buzz. It gives you that extra push to keep on picking people off. It's a great feeling to have. So progressive long run, put it into your programs. The next session that you've got to get right, and if you've not tapped into this area yet, please see this as a massive opportunity. If you've not tapped into interval running yet, and you're getting towards 3 hours or 3 hours 30 for the marathon, massive opportunity. It's just a rock that you've not looked under that has gold underneath, I promise you. Exactly the same with a specific long run, like the progressive long run. But we're talking about weight training. If you've not tapped into weight training yet, or if you just I go to the gym, but I do a bit of sort of everything around the body. If you focus on building glute strength, hamstring strength, robust lower legs, robust soleus and calves, and a strong, robust quad, what you're going to do is affect your interval training. You're going to make yourself a more robust athlete that can push more, and your stride length is going to increase over time. Now, it's not an overnight thing, but if you've not done this before, if you've not tapped into this, you're going to see the benefits really, really quickly within 2 to 4 weeks. And that's going to affect the rest of your running, whether it's your interval running or your specific long runs. And it's going to build stronger muscles that will help you to recover faster. Super, super, super important. And if you can get that right, it's going to make you faster in your intervals, which means that you can do more volume at that marathon pace plus 10%, or even better than that, you say way faster than a 3-hour marathon. I should be aiming for 2:50 or 2:45. And you course correct, and you then start to do the intervals and the specific long run based on your new time. Incredibly important and incredibly powerful. Now, remember, a 3-hour marathon is not to be sniffed at. It's a great time for the marathon, but it's within your capability. And it's my true conviction that it's within every man's capability to train towards a sub-3-hour marathon. Of course, your starting point might be different, and there are certain categories of people that it's not going to be possible for. That's obvious. But for any able-bodied man, this is possible. And the equivalent time for a woman is about 10% slower than that. About 3:18 to 3:25 per 3 hours 18 to 3 hours 25 for the marathon. So yeah, good luck, and if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below. And if you're getting anything from these videos, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.